Evening and welcome. So, as been discussed with you before, we are going to do a series of videos and podcasts where I'm going to answer you the frequently asked questions. And some of these questions are from different countries, but they're largely from the aspiring entrepreneurs and even from the current entrepreneurs. So, I'm going to start with pretty fundamental questions, and the basics would be, of course, addressed, but certain times I'll be going deeper. So let us do quickly the ones which I'm going to do in videos. Today's topic, which comes not only from India, but also from other countries, especially where we are working, like in Canada, and Singapore, and the Scandinavian countries. All right, so the question comes is, what is the difference between an entrepreneur and a businessman? All right, and what am I cut out for? So this is what I'm going to answer you from a different perspective. The format of the video would be simple. I would take you through storytelling, and at the same time, along with the stories, which are the real-time stories, I would be bringing in the matrix and the others. And towards the end of the video, I'm going to put a little map which you can refer to after listening to what I'm going through, what I'm taking you through. All right, so the question is whether you should be an entrepreneur or a businessman. Okay, so let's understand this. A startup is largely designed for fast growth, whereas a small business or even a small business when started is not designed in a way of growing fast. Okay, so startup is designed in a way that it has to have a phenomenal growth, an exponential growth, which will be attracting not only the customers, the investors, the shareholders, and the whole community around the startup, which is unlike than that of a business. But there is several, having said that, there are several such small-scale businesses which are running, and they're running quite profitably with their revenues plowed back or whichever other way with the cash flows going in. And the businessman, while running it, just stumbles upon the secret sauce. And when he sees that, yes, there is something like this where the fast growth model can be adopted, he shifts off to the model of a startup. The second thing which I would bring your attention to is exit. Like it's already said that investors, we always look at the exit when we are putting in the money. The same thing for the startup founders. They always have an exit in mind. I'll give you this little story that one of my mentees from South Mumbai, so when he had this big vision and he started working towards it, the whole ideation, validation, and I asked him, so how do you see yours for 5 years down the line? So he started thinking and he said, Mom, I think I'm going to leave. I'll take a good exit money. And I said, then what? He said, I'm going to build another startup. So this is how the mentality of the serial entrepreneurs generally is. So it is like you're growing your baby. You go through all the sleepless nights and you go through the joyous moments and everything. You grow with the baby. It's a process, all right? And you learn so many things, you unlearn so many things. And after 5 years, you and your wife again plan and think of another baby. Yeah. So startups are, yes, the founders always have an exit in mind, and an exit can be in form of an IPO or an acquisition. Generally, an acquisition is about 16 times done more than that of an IPO. See, for a startup, as I mentioned, with the fast growth, so how does the money flow in? The money flows in if the startup is having the revenue and plowing back the revenue to the company, or the startup is bootstrapped and it's using its savings and some alternate way of earning and putting the same money back to the startup, or it goes for a debt capital, which means it goes for a bank or for a FI, or it goes for an equity capital where it is going for, say, an angel investors or the VC or the institutional investors. Whereas a small business does not really need to do the fund flow like this to get external funds like this. All right, it can be sustainable and it can move because it is not supposed to go into that whole scale of doing things. Okay, now the choice is between the top line and the bottom line. What are you going to work on? Are you going to work only on the profits? Now, if you're working only on the profits and a healthy bottom line, business, not an enterprise business. A business is a good option. If you're working on the top line, a lot of sales and a lot of, as same thing, phenomenal growth, exponential growth, a startup model is better. See, a startup, the fourth but not the least, is basically solving a particular problem. A problem which is big enough, where there is a place to solve that problem in the market, whereas a business necessarily will not solve a problem. Now, because the enterprise business, let me not use the word startup, let me use the word enterprise business. I'm not saying enterprise business and startup are the words which are interchangeable, but enterprise business, it has a vision in mind, and it is always reinventing. The motion is circular motion, not a linear motion like a business, which is administration related, HR related, but more of a circular motion, continued reinventing and seeing that how the problem can be solved better and bigger. All right. Having said that, it's your call. What is it? What your personnel allows to? What is it that you're thinking for a business or for an enterprise business? So let me share the story of Sarah Blakely. I really like the way she looks at it. You must have heard of Spanx. And yes, she would be getting the details towards the end of the video. So she was a young girl when she had put on her business shoes, and she failed miserably. And she said, okay, I'm goofed up. And she wanted to be a goofy. She wanted to play that character in Walt Disney. And when she went for employment, there was no post for Goofy. As Walt Disney, you're aware, they hire only at particular periods of the year. At that time, they were hiring for the Epcot rides. She went for that, and she was doing the Epcot rides. She was quite mundane. Then she left Walt Disney, and she started selling fax machines door to door. So tell me what she learned for 7 years selling fax machines. An entrepreneur who is a self-billionaire now, for 7 years selling fax machines door to door. She learned, she developed an immunity towards the big word no. Right? The immunity bank is a very important bank in an entrepreneur's personality. I have never been lucky to meet her, but one of my friends had interviewed her, and she said, after making the billion-dollar empire, the multi-million-dollar empire, she still sits with her teammates every Friday, and she asks them, so tell me, share me, what were your failures this week? Now, this is something which I really respect, and this is something which we really follow in entrepreneurship, right? The failure navigation. Okay, so what she did, post the fax selling, her entrepreneurial spirit was never gone. She started her undergarment company, as you're aware. It was a pioneer in the body curve industry for the women with her $5,000 saving. And the first year itself, she had put on profits. And of course, 2013, she became a self-billionaire. Now here, she had no equity investors with her the whole process. She maneuvered, she engineered the whole process of running his enterprise in a way which is an enterprise business, fast growth business at the same time without dependence on equity investments. All right, having said that, it's your call whether you would like to do something like a Starbucks, or you want to do a family-owned shop, a coffee shop, which you want to relax in a steady way or so. And you may think that you really need to take a call that whether you need to do a startup or you need to do a small business. But let me open your perspective towards something else. Why not take it like this, that you start with solving a problem of doing a particular business, well validated, etc., going through the entrepreneurial matrix, and start with it. Now, as you keep going on, you see the opportunity, you get the secret sauce, and you can always adapt to a startup model. Or, okay, when I say a startup model, I mean to say it's a fast growing model. All right, so let's take it this way. When you are independent and when you are in a sustainable format, then a phenomenal growth finding it out, the whole strategy becomes much more intimate, much more unique for your enterprise business. So it is not really in a call immediately when you start that you have to really differentiate that whether it is a startup or whether it is a traditional business. There is always a balanced way of going about it. Now, Sarah Blakely says, I take her quote because I took you through her story. She says, everyone has a multi-million dollar idea. All right. And everyone has that idea. You can just start with that idea. I'm a great follower of Thomas Edison. I do a lot of study to understand how his mind used to work. He says 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. But the same thing applies to entrepreneurship. It is just 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. We at Entrepreneurship Drive are not motivators. We are not going to give persuasion and big motivational things. We are going to give you the blocks how to do that 99% perspiration, the sweat equity with that 1% inspiration. I'm an Indian from heart, and entrepreneurship to me is Atma Prerna. Your own personality fit, your own inspiration, which allows you to express yourself by making a tangible product or a service or an experience which solves a big problem or which creates a value. All right, so if you have any other question on this between a startup and a small scale business, a small business, please feel free to book a time slot with us. The team will take you through, or if it's required, I will come in. And the Calendly slot is at www.entrepreneurshipdrive.com. Yes, good night. I am just doing this little video while I'm taking the webinar and I'm working on the floor. So I would see you my next video. Till then, stay inspired. More importantly, find the calling within yourself. And I see you in the next video. Good night.